Hello everyone! Welcome back to a very special video. I'm DTM as always, and I'm joined by an amazing guest. Why don't you introduce yourself, The0blivionknight?
Hi, I'm Oblivion from the The0blivionknight channel. I make AR, SDR content, and sometimes some top 10s I throw in there.
Yeah, and honestly, your videos about like the meta and all of that have been really amazing and give like a really good overview of like the Aether race meta and stuff like that. And yeah,
I've always like really been into like game design, so I love like breaking apart the different like game mechanics going on in FE.
Oh yes, especially now with so many game mechanics and like preference skills and all of that, right?
Yeah, it's gotten pretty ridiculous about how much they can really like stack onto one unit or like in one game mode.
To the point where like we now have 2 pages of skills, but I digress. So yeah, I think both of us, we're basically talking about the state of FE, and specifically on Aether raids because, well, I'm pretty sure both of us had our starts doing Aether raid content as FEHTubers. Am I right?
Yeah, that's definitely where I started at.
I remember seeing, like, I think it was one of your earliest videos doing Beast Force clears when Fallen Edelgard first released. And yeah, Gale Force, always super fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what inspired me to start making videos. I like always wanted to make videos, but then when Fallen Edelgard came out, I was like, I just love beast teams, and now they're so much more powerful. I had to make a video on this.
Yes, and as a fellow Fallen Edelgard enthusiast, I really do appreciate that. But yeah, so honestly, I feel like Aether raids, specifically last year, has gone through a lot of different changes, and things we take for granted now, like, have just been introduced in like the first half of Book 5, like the Vault of Heavens, Reagan, Extra Slot Mythics. Aether raids have definitely gone through a lot of changes.
Yeah, I actually made a video on like the history of the Aether raids meta, and going back and looking about like how much stuff we've gotten over the time. It's insane how much we've gotten and like how much stuff has changed.
Yeah, I think we had pretty much like a meta shift every month, at least for the first half of Book 6, with like Dual Leaf, Saros, and all of that.
Yeah, that year was super insane. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, like just packing so much in that first couple months, but like it was just insane to keep up with.
Yeah. But I feel like nowadays that sort of shifting has sort of stopped. I feel, at least to me, like ever since, I want to say, either Safety Fence or Fjorm, there hasn't really been a shift in the meta until recently with Elemine, but like, what do you feel about that? Do you feel that things have sort of slowed down for Aether raids?
Yeah, definitely. So I think they kind of made a mistake where like in the beginning of with like the save skills, the introduction of save skills and dual lift, they like kind of, well, actually more like Legendary Sigurd. And
yeah. Oh boy.
They kind of made it so, yeah, they kind of made Aether raids so defense favored that it was difficult to play.
Right.
And now they kind of done the opposite, where they've introduced so many ways for offense to be able to beat defenses that it's kind of made the meta a little bit slower or like stale.
Yeah, I definitely have felt that as I've been doing Aether raids content, because I feel like it's so hard to make a consistent defense now with like all the tools and like safety fence, and like what even is a meta defense at this point with Elemine, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like, I'll go watch other people's videos on what they're doing for defense, and it's really just like a roll of a dice. Like, who do you end up getting matched against is how well your defense does a lot of the times.
Yeah, and obviously it's very easy to have those AR classics with that when you get hit by a full and then you just have a success when it's in lift loss control.
I hate that so much. It drives me absolutely insane. Right. Especially when the rewards are like infantry flowers, which is what I really care about. I'm like, oh my gosh, like my defense.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say is the main reason, other than like IS obviously trying to overcorrect for the huge defense favoredness of last year? What would you say is the reason for like all of, I guess, defenses being in such a tough spot right now?
I think you detailed it pretty well, where it's the combination of safe defense and Ascendant Fjorm. And the reasons for that is because safe defense kind of stops defenses from going off on turn 1. So it stops that really toxic defense we had before. But at the same time, by adding Ascendant Fjorm, they took away the one weakness that save balls really had. And so now save skills are just kind of going unchecked. And so you can literally just plant a save ball half the time. And if you like properly support it, it's gonna win like against most defenses.
Right. That I feel like save balls or save skills in general have basically defined the meta. Like I feel like the current meta in Aether raids revolves entirely around save skills, both in defense and offense. Which sucks for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which sucks for me because I don't have a good save ball at all.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think saves just completely dominated the meta. And I kind of like said that when they came out. I was like, these skills are way too strong. I think IS just like kind of went too far with them, to be honest. I feel like they could have like either not put stats on them or made it so it was only like your ally pair up. So it's only for that one unit you're saving. But as they are now, like it's just so easy to make an extremely powerful save ball.
Yeah, I was thinking that if save balls were only for adjacent allies, that would help a lot, because then it's a lot harder to have both near and far save just cover all your units, right? I feel like that would have made it a little more balanced.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think they've removed one of the key strategic elements of Aether raids, which was positioning, from the game. And
Definitely.
Without that, it just makes offense so much easier.
Yeah, like you don't have to try to like make air like not be in range potentially of like Cecilia or something like that. You could just like rely on Fjorm to take care of that. You don't have to rely on like shoving up your Omni tank, like to have that 2 spaces of separation. You could just have it next to each other because again, save balls just cover everything. And yeah, positional skill was like one of the main skill factors for Aether raids, and now that's just gone with save skills, and I guess there's no sign of that stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, as I was looking back on the history of the meta, one of the things that I was kind of reminded of was how important early AR positioning was. Just understanding how to know where the AI would move units and how they would engage in what order was such a massive deal so that you could position correctly. But nowadays, you don't have to think about that literally at all.
Right. And like nowadays, like I wouldn't say like most of the time, you could just run a double save and you'll win like 90% of your matches. And if you run into a match or a map where you can't, well, we now have like 7 ladders that we can use. So there's not a lot of risk to just use a save ball.
That was something I was going to bring up, actually. I think it's kind of ridiculous how many ladders they have given us. Yeah. Like, I love ladders. They're cool. Especially in the beginning of AR, getting 3 losses was massive. It completely changed who could be competitive and not. But it's gotten kind of over ridiculous. Because I think you play, 8 matches a week if you do doubles? So now you have 7 ladders.
Yeah. I mean, I started playing Aether raids seriously probably around mid-2020, so I have no knowledge of the dark days without a safety ladder or whatnot. But like back when I started playing, I believe like we only had 4 like ladders to use, and now that's almost double to 7. Like I'm pretty sure we thought when it was upgraded to 5, it was like, oh, okay, this was just like a one-time thing. And then it got upgraded to 6. And then it got upgraded to 7. And yeah, I mean, it's good, but I feel like at a certain point, if you have so much ladders, you're basically re-rolling for maps, so to speak, because there's not really that, at least for me, there's not really that drive to make sure that every match I play is optimal, because if I fail, well, I just go to the next one.
Yeah, it's exactly how I feel too, where I don't really even, like, lately I haven't been thinking about my matches. I just kind of like, I'm going to do a Yuri, I'm going to do a Brave Hector match. If I don't win, I'll just do another match because the safety ladder is there to protect me. And I never even get close to using all 7 charges.
Yeah. And I feel like, obviously we have summer duels now, but like beforehand, like Aether Raids was like the one competitive mode in FEH. And so it's sort of a bit sad to see it go in that sort of sense, but I do think that because like Aether Raids ranking is based on both, you know, skill and how many Mythic merges you have, this is something I've been thinking about. If Aether Raids is less dependent on skill, then Mythic merges become more important and therefore more pay to win.
You were thinking exactly what I was literally just about to say that. Yeah. So as you remove skill from the game, literally the only thing that matters is merges.
Right.
And so it just becomes more and more whale friendly the more skill you remove. And I know that kind of feels bad for people who don't want to like invest a lot of time into AR because they just want to win and have like, you know, win your matches. It feels good.
Which understandable.
But at the same time, yeah, completely understandable. But I feel like it's actually bad for the game because you're removing that skill level. And in doing so, you are allowing people to literally pay to win.
Right. Like, for me, I'm as a free-to-play player, essentially, like, I can't even dream of reaching, like, either the front page, and even reaching top 1K is extreme struggle. Like, I literally have to dedicate so many orbs to get Mythic merges just to try to achieve that, and I feel like if the trend of this keeps happening, we might end up what it was like pre-Vault, post-Reagan, where it was so inflated and I barely made top 6K despite having a perfect offense and defense just because I didn't have enough merges.
Yeah, that's it's definitely something to think about because I think I was talking to Acarus. Yeah, I think it was Acarus. And we were talking about like I was afraid of the inflation, right? Because we just got Plumeria on a Hero Fest.
Oh yes.
And so that's adding merges to Asher season. And then in a couple weeks we'll be getting Thor on the AHR banner, which will honestly I think also add inflation. I know that like not everybody will go super hard into it. But for the free-to-play players who have been listening to any content creator at all, they know this banner has a chance of showing up since like November or December. So you could see like 1,200 orbs. And if you drop 1,200 orbs, there's a good chance you're getting like a +4, +5 Thor out of that, which will definitely inflate scores.
Yeah, score inflation is definitely a thing. And I mean, I'm part of the problem. I summoned heavily on Plumeria's Hero Fest banner. But like, I sort of had to in order to stay competitive, which I don't feel like is a good thing for FEH.
I actually watched that video. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. So I've been like that essentially since Aether Raids began. I have been just like spending orbs on trying to get merges for Mythic so I could stay competitive. And in the beginning of AR, it wasn't too bad. Like you just kind of needed like maybe 2 Mythics and maybe like a couple merges. But now I'm at the point where I think I have, in Light Season, I have 24 merges or 25 merges. And on a perfect season still, without doing my last match, I was still out of top 1K or top 3K. I was at 3,200. Yeah, I had to do my last match and then it put me up into that top 1K. But it was just insane to think that there was like, I think at, what was I? I was at like 3,200 and I was at like I was like just barely under the final tier 39. So it's insane to see how many people are just up there now.
Yeah. And I mean, even though like I want to say like early 2021 was very suffering in terms of like actually doing Aether Raids, I mean, at the very least I could actually like reliably maintain rank during that phase. But now it is actually a struggle, and yeah, I don't feel like it's a good state of the game. And so what do you think would need to change in order for that to improve, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that like whenever the game mode is too favored on one side, so either offense or defense, the game suffers.
Right.
The mode definitely suffers. And so in order to fix that, you have to introduce things that can be used on defense, right? We need to give defense back that advantage. But the problem, right, is if you make a powerful unit, they'll be used on offense unless they are defense mythic.
Right.
If they're a defense mythic, they will not be used there. So the key, I think, is making more powerful defense mythics, which is scary, but I think that's what we need, right?
I mean, I definitely agree. How many like 7-slot defense mythics do we have right now? I think we have a total of 3.
Oh my God. Is that it?
Yeah, like
we have Saros, Odor,
and Not.
And Not. Is that it, really?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Holy crap. Yeah, I don't know why they went super hard on Astra Mythics this last year. I don't know why. They like, how many did they put out? Like 6 or something? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they have like Thor, Elamine now, and oh shoot, what was that other one? Like obviously
Thor, Elamine, Regan, Plumeria. There was I can't think
Plumeria. Yeah.
They put out so many, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like they're overdoing it.
I remember back when Astra was the suffer season of Aether raids.
I actually loved Astra's season. So like back in the day, like really back the second month of Aether raids, or even after that, before Naga was introduced, there was no mythics, right? So Astra's season was like the fun season for me. It was toxic, but it was fun because no one like had any rules. You could do whatever you want. You could build whatever team you wanted. You could build whatever defense you wanted, and there was no like mythic like HP or like stats to help. So you could make some really crazy defenses. So it was really fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine that sort of meta right now with like the limited amount of defense mythics we have. But it sure sounds fun at the very least.
It's fun if you're a competitive person. I think if you're not a competitive person and you don't want to put the time in to get like really good at it, then you're not going to enjoy it. Because I would spend like an hour or hour and a half on each match.
Right. So, like, other than defense mythics, like, obviously we talked about save skills being very impactful in the meta. Do you think something like save control, now that we have Kanto control, do you think something like that would help? Or is that also going to dismantle save balls on defense?
That's interesting. I think it would help, definitely, but I don't know. It might actually do both, right? I guess you would have to like put it on a dark defense mythic if they put like a Kanto control or a save control. Then that would probably work that way, and that way it wouldn't really affect people using it offensively. Right. So that could be interesting. The thing I was actually thinking of is that I kind of wish that they would have taken the dual skills in a different direction. Because when I originally saw them, I thought they would stop save skills. I think that would have been an interesting direction to make it, so that way you could kind of pick a unit, like you could have blue duel and you could counter Brave Hector, or like green duel and you could counter like Gustav or whatever, right? Oh, and so that way you could create.
You're talking about the feud skills, right?
Feud skills. I'm sorry, feud skills. Yeah,
this is an arena.
Skills. Yeah, feud skills. The C slot.
Yeah.
So I thought that they would do that, and then it would have been. I think it would have been more interesting because then you could have chosen what kind of matchups your defense was good against, and then you built around with your other units to counter the other things, right?
Right.
And that could have made defense a lot better, but they didn't really do that for some reason. They kind of have been scared, I guess, to nerf save skills.
I mean, I think it's to be consistent with how Remimon interacts with save skills, which is not at all, since it's by technicality before combat, which is honestly kind of ridiculous, to be perfectly honest. Like, that's sort of like rules lawyering of like base skill interactions, but like once Remimon's interaction worked that way, I feel like in order to be consistent, IS decided to make feud skills be the same way, which is a kind of a shame, I think.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping Bremimon would be like the exception, to be honest, and I think that would have helped a lot. Because there's so many like weird interactions with save skills that just aren't on the skill description at all.
Yeah.
Like if you're using Layla, right? It can cancel out Layla's switching, and that ruined my Tina team. I was so salty about that. Like I was ranting to friends about it for like hours.
Yeah, honestly, that is the most stupid interaction about save skills. Like, there's no universe where it should disable Layla's like preference weapon, but it does, and it's really annoying. It just completely ruined Layla force, and yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah, I feel like it's just weird, like how a lot of the AI like interacts and how the coding works. And I'm not sure if they always think it through or if they plan to do that. Like, there's no way to actually know without asking them. But like, it definitely ruins a lot of different defenses and units.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like without some sort of change, I mean, right now it's actually really hard for me to make Aether race content that I feel is interesting, because if every defense is not a challenge, that, you know, I guess to flex my 11 action scale force team or something like that, then yeah, I feel like content, it is, honestly for me, it has been a struggle to make Aether race content. That's, I feel, interesting.
I'm in the same boat. I don't know if people have noticed, but I've stopped making AR gameplay videos, and that's for that exact reason.
Right.
I think it was in some stream somebody asked me, and I was saying, like, if a video is not interesting, I don't want to put it out. I don't want to put out AR gameplay that's just me, you know, using a Brave Hector and winning on turn 1, or like, you know, same thing, right? Like if I've done the same thing over and over again, it's boring if the defenses are so easy.
Right.
And I don't think I'm the only one that feels like that. I know Levin for sure said he felt the same way.
I know Levin,
I think
for
Promise
sure
did. Yeah, I know Levin for sure. I don't know if Promise said the same thing, but I think so.
I think Promise did as well, because she's also stopped making regular Aether race content. Although part of that's probably due to going back to college, but yeah, definitely a big part of that is due to Aether race no longer being interesting content. And yeah, I guess I'm still the only one doing that. I'm sure a lot of others are as well. But yeah, it is tough.
I think Theology still, like Joel's still
Theology.
making some. He does a lot of that still.
He's still trying to reach that perfect season. That
I saw that. That's the worst feeling. I've literally done that before, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it could literally ruin your season. It just feels so bad.
I can't even imagine how bad it feels, because like everything was lined up so perfectly just to be not there for one simple mistake. And yeah, well, I'm sure Joel will get the perfect season soon. Like, I believe in him to get rank 1.
Oh yeah, he'll absolutely do it. He's a great player. I definitely expect him to do that.
Yeah. And yeah, I know you mentioned Brave Hector. Do you use any other strategies for Aether race these days, or is it just that?
I have 5 strategies for each season, and so I use them all the time. But it's just really, I've already made videos on them, right? Like I've done like the harmonic leaf gale force, the duo Corin, like I don't know how many actions she has with harmonic Azura. I've done that. Brave Ike, like I have, and Yuri, like stuff like that. I've done it all, but it's just, when you've already seen it like multiple times, it's not that impressive anymore, I guess. Yeah,
I feel the same way with like my Gale Force clears. Like in the first month Brave Marianne got released, it was super hype. and now it's just like a regular day in Aether race, I guess. Sort of loses.
Yeah, I think if if you're using the same strategy over and over again, it's really reliant on the defense to make it interesting.
Right.
And so when you have these weak defenses, it just doesn't there's no tension there. There's no thought like, oh, this might lose now. Right. It's just like, oh, they're gonna stomp them. Like it's over.
Yeah. And actually, on that note, I feel like that tension is really critical for making things interesting. I remember when I ran out of all my ladders, only haven't done 2 matches. Yeah. And so like that made me obviously really stressed out. But once I managed to finish it, I felt really good. Like, I completed this amazing challenge, and the videos were also really interesting because, like, people were scared that, you know, I would have to actually skip the vault and things like that. And yeah, without that challenge, it's not, without stakes, right? Like, it's not really that interesting anymore in terms of content.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, anytime you run out of ladders, it makes the games so much more tense and so much more interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that Summoner Duels Ranked actually does well. I know we're talking about AR, but I think that's the one thing it does well, where it really has that tension. Like, when you're playing Summoner Duels Ranked, the smallest like mistake can just lose you the game. Right. It's that feeling of like winning afterwards it feels so good. It feels amazing. Like, it feels like that old AR gameplay.
Yeah, and like doing my stream of Summoner's Duels, like there were some matches that were literally just won literally on the last turn after like being onslaughted so much, and those just felt so good. And like
exactly
doing those Summoner's Duels stream, since we're on that topic, like it actually reminded me of what I felt when I was trying to climb to tier 27 back when that was the best tier for the first time. I've got that same sort of feeling of having something to play for, something to try and achieve. And yeah, I know Summoner's Duels R is not the most well-loved mode for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But like, I do appreciate it giving that sort of like challenge to have that achievement that I feel like Aether Race no longer has for me, besides, you know, reaching rank 1, but that's nowhere near feasible for me right now.
Right, yeah. I think that's just the thing that, I don't know if it's developers or what, but like they kind of remove that difficulty to make it more appealing to a bigger audience, right?
Yeah.
And in doing so, they kind of remove the rewarding aspect of that game mode.
Yeah. And I don't know if or should IS ever like try to do anything about that, because I'm sure there's a lot of players that do appreciate those changes. But yeah, I know it's tough.
I feel like if we're talking a little bit about what I think they should do, I think that they really need to do is they need to make a new game mode that isn't PvP oriented and really make some difficult PvE content. Because I feel like even abyssals are like extremely easy. You just you know, can clear it with like a glass cannon and some dancers, like typically. So I think they need to make like a really difficult PvE content that has like multiple layers of difficulty, so that people can feel like they are achieving like, oh, I got up to abyssal this week and I feel really good about that. And then, you know, for the hardcore players, maybe there's a difficulty higher than that they can do.
Yeah, I definitely do agree, because basically the only endgame content in FEH right now is PvP. And so if there's a similar endgame content that is PvE, I feel like that would basically make FEH a lot more appealing to a lot more players. I was actually thinking of like this sort of like rogue-like dungeon-esque mode where you just like go through an infinite amount of floors and
okay
yeah, and all the maps and enemies are randomly generated, and sort of like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or something like that, if you ever played that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I've definitely thought of something similar, not like infinite like layers or like floors to go up, but something similar to that. I've been designing it for a very long time. I've been trying to make a video on it.
Ooh.
But it's so much work. It's been like hundreds of hours and it's still not even close to done.
Well, you can't.
But yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, but I think like they need that kind of game mode. They need a game mode that is PvE oriented, is that multiple layers of like difficulty are there for different types of players. Because I think like, or not even I think, I know, Fire Emblem is more suited for audiences who like PvE, right? Like all the Fire Emblem games are PvE games,
right? Even
though a few of them like Fates have PvP. So like, I'm not sure why they're so focused on PvP when it goes against what their audience wants.
Right. And it's not like Fate's PvP was well loved regardless. So
yeah, it was just faster.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely do agree that IS really needs a PvE mode. That's Endgame. And I feel like, yeah, unless that happens, like, people will obviously be a lot of the casual players will, struggle in Aether raids because that is the only endgame mode, and they will all have a bad time and a bad experience with Fae. And obviously IS is then incentivized to help with that, but then like the competitive players, they lose that challenge. So yeah, I feel like the solution is an endgame PvE mode, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so too. Like, the thing is with PvP game modes like Aether raids or like Summoner Duels Ranked, it kind of puts players against each other, not just literally, like mentally. It makes it so that people hate whales because these whales are making units I have to fight against, and I don't want to fight against those units, and so it makes you hate them, like literally. And I think that's like just a bad place to make your to build your community on. Like, I think like it's always better when you do those videos and people are like, I cleared Abyssal with like, I don't know, Nino and 3 dancers, and you're like, oh, that's a cool clear. And if they had a mode like that, then people would enjoy that, right? Especially if you could do replays. If there was like a replay function and you could make a cool PvE game mode and people could share their cool clears of these really difficult PvE content, I think people would eat that up. They would love that.
Oh, definitely. Like Abyssal content is already super popular, especially with all the theme team clears, and so like that would be a natural extension. I'd believe that, and yeah, I'm imagining that would be so cool.
I think people just want to use their favorite units, and because of the way PvP works, there's always going to be units that like climb up to the top of the meta, and it just makes people angry because they want to use their favorite units, and I think like in normal Fire Emblem, right, there is technically like you could try to like analyze and see which units are best in a classic Fire Emblem game, but you don't really need to ever. You can always use your favorite units and still beat the game.
Like if I want to have Lissa be a Dark Flyer with Gale Force, I can make Lissa be a Dark Flyer with Gale Force in Awakening. But like trying to use Lissa just as an example in Aether raids is going to be much of a struggle, not gonna lie. But,
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why people are so obsessed with ults, because they're always trying to get their favorite character to be relevant so they can use them in those PvP game modes.
But hey, Valentine's Lissa is now a cool bar save unit. So Lissa fans, your time is now.
Oh gosh, that reminds me of, I don't know, have you ever seen Lubu's content?
Oh yes, I have. I remember those.
the Dr. Sakura videos where he would use all healers to clear everything. Those were so cool and creative. I've loved those videos.
And like this is the sort of creativity we need in Fae. Like a mode that allows for that is endgame and is like not once a month. That would be so cool.
I think that's a thing too. Like Grand Conquest, I think is a great game mode. I love Grand Conquest, and not only does it like offer you the ability to use more of your barracks, it lets you like interact with other people, like via like rival domains or stuff like that. And they don't play it that often. Like it's not even once a month. It's like once 2 or 3 months maybe or something.
I think it's
ridiculous.
Like 4 months or something like that.
Gosh. And we're getting like what, Frontline Felix and like Hero's Journey instead. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You know what Fae needs? Fae needs a co-op mode, like an actual co-op mode. I mean, we already have live PvP. Why not co-op now?
That would be amazing. I would love that so much if like you could do Grand Conquest and like half the barracks is one person, half the barracks is the other person.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, just have like, one player controls like 4 units, one player controls other 4 units, and just like go at it. That would be so much fun. Yeah,
I think that's definitely, I don't know, like I kind of expected it earlier in Fae to have more community game systems, like maybe like guilds or something like that, so that people could play together and not have to like rely on Discords or YouTubers or Twitch streams or whatever. But they just really haven't introduced much, to be honest.
Yeah, like the friends list is basically a glorified gift for a unit that you can use in what, Loki, I think.
Oh yeah, Loki and like Grand
Allegiance
Conquest
battles.
Allegiance, yeah.
Although to be
It's not. Go ahead.
To be fair, I did have a lot of use for Tosi Baruka's Spring Severa, that's +10 in Allegiance battles.
Gosh.
Really good. But no, you were saying?
Red Reinhardt's amazing.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Totally completely forgot what I was gonna
say. No worries. But yeah, like having friends mean more, I think would also help a lot as well. Just like,
oh, I remember now. So have you ever played like other gachas? Like my friends play like FGO and stuff, and on their friends list, what they can do is they can assign one unit for each type of unit. So like in our game, they could put like one axe unit, one sword unit, one lance unit, and then you could share that with your friends. I think that'd be so much cooler than what we have right now.
Yeah, that would definitely be a lot better. I will confess, Fae is my only gacha, so I don't really know any other systems besides like my brief foray into Genshin Impact before I stopped.
It's a good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
I still play Genshin, but not much. But I play it less.
Yeah.
But I played a few other gachas just like to see the systems pretty much because I wanted to like kind of make a video comparing the systems between Fae and other gachas. And they have a lot of cool stuff that we do not have.
Yeah. Honestly, the reason why I stopped playing Genshin was because of a lack of a good endgame content besides the Spiral Abyss. And yeah, I mean, at the very least, Fae does have like quote-unquote a dynamic endgame content if you consider like Aether raids, Summoner's Duels, Arena, getting crowns and all that, but at least it's better than that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I watch this in the Genshin podcast at all, but I could literally talk about that for hours. I am so enraged with their endgame or lack of.
Yeah.
Fae definitely does that better.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess we can end it on that note that even though Aether raids might not be what it once was, it's still better than Genshin.
They call it Genshin.
I'm gonna get into a flame war because of that. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, I tried for like 6 months to enjoy it. Like spent all my primos on Hu Tao, but it just wasn't for me, I guess.
I still play it. I still have fun with it a little bit, but like there's just nothing to do endgame. Like I have these super powerful units and there's nothing to use them on.
Yeah, same. And like honestly, the story, which is the other reason why I play games, it's so slow to progress because of obvious reasons. But like,
yeah,
Genshin, you're incentivized to play every day, and so every day there's nothing to do besides farm. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I feel like the one thing they do really well is their lore. Their lore is really great if you look into it, but it's not like put in front of you. You have to go like find it. It's a pain in the butt.
I mean, Fae's lore, we have like the 6 worlds and things like that. I haven't been keeping track of Fae lore, to be really honest.
Dude, the story in Fae definitely use an update of sorts.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like I don't know why they only make chapters like 5 chapters and they put like in barely a minimum amount of text essentially. Yeah. Like why not like expand on that and have an actual story? Like you don't even need to give us more orbs. Yeah. Just put in more chapters that give us like, I don't know, 2 dragon flowers or like 2 refining gem or whatever, you know? Yeah. Like I don't care about the rewards. I just want more story.
Right. I feel like they have such a rigid template of how they do their story and it's really limiting them. Like at least with book 6 we're revisiting like Veronica and Emblem, which I actually find really interesting, but like I fear that it'll end up being rushed like all the previous books just because of that limitation that they have. And it's not like having stories be short means that they can't be compelling. Like one of the most compelling stories that I've seen came from Tempest Trials with Masked Marth and young La Rochelle. I thought that was really touching, and that was literally 2 paragraphs, but it was still really good. I feel like
the story I really loved was the forging bonds with Fallen Leon. Oh my god, that was so crazy. It was so good, and it was like super short, but it was done really well.
Yeah, I feel like they need to lean on like those sort of dynamics a lot more in terms of the story.
Yeah, I always feel like they're trying to like tell like this big grand tale, but they don't give themselves enough time to write it.
Yeah.
Or to like even like give it to us, right? Like they're like, okay, you have like 13 chapters and that's it. It's like, well, you're not getting much done in that.
Yeah. And so like keeping it small scale, keeping it focused on like the characters we love, I feel like would go a long way.
Yeah. My hot take, this might make some people mad.
Uh-oh.
I would when Fire Emblem Heroes came out, what I was looking forward to was getting to see all the original Fire Emblem characters from their games interact, right? That's what I wanted to see. Like what we get in Fortune Bonds.
Right.
I want that. And the story is just so focused on the OCs, we get nothing from any of the other characters really. Like they show up, I'm mind controlled, and then that's literally their one line in the story. It's so disappointing.
That reminds me of that meme of like Dagger crying because her sister died, and I think it was Violet going Cowabunga or something like that. Like that just
oh my gosh.
Yeah. that just reminded me of that.
That meme killed me when I saw that, because that's exactly what I thought when I saw it. I was like, no one else is gonna get that, and then someone made a meme of it. I was just crying so hard.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking sometimes.
Yeah, Faye. I guess what we can take away from that is that Faye could really take a look at a bunch of their modes and find improvements in them. Yeah,
I think that there's plenty of places to make improvements, or even combine some game modes would be a good idea, because we have a lot of game modes that just really don't do much, and I feel like if you put them together, they could be pretty fun.
Yeah, step 1, remove frontline phalanx. Step 2, yeah.
Mode, like, what's the point of that mode?
I honestly have no idea what they were thinking about that. Yeah.
What's the lore game mode? I can't remember what it's called. Lost Lore, is that it? No. One where you just put the unit and it goes away for like 20 hours, and then you come back and collect the rewards.
Yeah, that's Lost Lore. That's Lost Lore.
Okay, yeah. They like that could have so much like potential, right? Like the ability to tell other Fire Emblem stories in Fae is an amazing concept, and they just did it the most like poor way they could have done it ever.
Yeah, it's basically the Crystal Farm as of now.
Yep.
But yeah.
Get my best.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you. I guess to end it off, yeah, Faye could use a lot of improvements. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me as we talk about not only Aether Race, but so much about Faye. Yeah, we did get a bit off topic, but I think that's okay. There's a lot of things to talk about Faye, right?
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I've like always wanted to just talk to people about like the state of Faye, so getting a chance to talk to you was just a ton of fun, and I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, likewise. Like just talking about Faye was, I guess it really helped put my thoughts in order, and yeah, was definitely really fun. And hopefully we can do this again sometime, potentially.
Yeah, I would totally be down for that.
But yeah, thank you so much, and I guess this is where I do my spiel. As always, if you like the content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help not only support my channel, but also to Oblivion Knight's channel as well. The link to his channel will be in the description. And yeah, do you have any final words for our audience, Oblivion Knight?
Just have fun in Fae, whatever way you can.
That's definitely very good advice. All right, thank you everyone, and see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.